10. I will. Go. Alright. Oh fuck, that's much. It's the last round. Alright. Alright, cue the music. Good afternoon, everybody. I am exhausted. My name is Alex Vidal. I am president of Related ISG International Realty and host of the show you are watching Inquiring Minds Want to Know. And to my right
bring the energy, Alex. Come on.
I'm wounded. And to my right is Abbott, CrossFit competitor, NASCAR, first woman ever to be in a pit crew of NASCAR, two-time author, nationally ranked Olympic weightlifter, and author of a great book called Badass Life. Christmas, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks for doing the work.
Yeah. So the reason we're out of breath is we just did a workout, and I always said that when I interviewed a CrossFit star, I wanted to be able to work out with them prior to the interview, and that's why I'm out of breath. So I'm hoping she does all the talking and I catch my breath.
But you have to start it.
I will start it. Whew. Sorry. Now, here's what I can tell you. If you want to work for the broker that is connected to the most or the biggest business people, real estate players, mindset people, athletes who have an incredible mindset, not only in Miami, but across the country. I'm filming from Raleigh, North Carolina. I flew in for 5 hours to do this interview. Call me, DM me, text me, work for the broker that's going to help push you to the next level. But we're ready to get started. You ready?
I am ready.
All right, good.
Thanks.
She had a minute to catch her breath. I did it. Christmas, you are, as we mentioned, a CrossFit Games competitor.
Yes.
You are a nationally ranked Olympic weightlifter.
At one point.
At one point. Yeah. You are the first woman ever to be in a NASCAR pit crew. We're going to touch upon that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Two-time author, just to name a few. Tell us a little bit about your path to get to where we are today.
Honestly, I said yes to things that I didn't know I was saying yes to.
Okay.
And that wasn't being ignorant or stupid about the process. It was just about experiencing something. And, I advocate to everybody all the time. I'm like, get out and go play. You're not going to find your passion sitting at home on the couch thinking about what your passion should be. You have to go out and experience things and have actual tangible to take home and to know whether you want to foster that experience or if you're like, nah, not for me. Now for me, I'm kind of a little stubborn.
Okay.
So I have to try things multiple times to really define how I feel about them. It's not a one-time done. And but with CrossFit, with weightlifting, and with hitting lug nuts, specifically NASCAR, that was an instant magic for me. And so I knew that I wanted to pursue something, and I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know how it was going to be done. I didn't even know what it was that I wanted to pursue, but I had to figure it out.
Oh, what I love about it, now that I'm thinking about it, you said you have to try things, right?
Yeah.
You tried writing books, you wrote 2. You tried NASCAR, you made it. You tried CrossFit, you made it to the games. You tried Olympic weightlifting, got nationally ranked.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what you can do when you try, right?
Yeah, it's just the experience. It's fun.
Now we kind of talked about this a little bit, off camera, but you've had to overcome a lot in your life. You've had to face a lot of adversity head on. What systems do you have in place to stay in that positive, motivated mindset?
I didn't recognize that I had this system in place until recently. Okay, so the last couple of years, not just a few months, but the last couple of years have been really challenging, but they've served a lesson, they've given me strength, and they've given me perspective. Now, I think that some of the success that I've been able to achieve, and when I say success, I mean just sometimes surviving the day.
Sure.
Right?
That's a great way to define success.
It is different for everybody, but ultimately, the success that I have found has been through structure and discipline, focus. Every year I have a word, and that word magnifies So be cautious of what you choose, because a lot of people will choose a word and they're like, oh, money. Well, it has a negative and a positive magnification in your life. But ultimately, that word is what I want to weave into the fibers of my year to get the most out of that lesson. This year is focus, and I struggled with finding my word for this year for a while because I didn't have my feet on the ground. You know, lots of life changes, permanent life changes.
Like having a baby, like Loyal. Was that Loyal who came into that?
No, that's
baby?
Connor, actually. Connor was born 2.5 weeks after Loyal, almost 3 weeks after Loyal.
She has a 4-month-old, soon to be 4-month-old.
He's amazing.
Look at that smile when she talks about it.
He's real, he's very bright. So I thought about foundation, family, and then I thought focus. Focus is what gave me discipline, and discipline trumps motivation every single day. You can have motivation, internal and external. I talk about that. External is like your coach coming around. You're going to work harder when your coach is watching you. But internal, having your purpose, it's never going to die out. But discipline, to get up and go to the gym, to get up out of bed, to get up and do whatever it is that or finish something or start something, comes down to discipline.
Even when you don't want to do it.
Even when you don't want to do it.
Cool. I love discipline. I love focus. Now, this is one thing that all realtors can relate to, is being between NASCAR, CrossFit, and weightlifting competitions. You have experienced very high pressure situations, especially with NASCAR and being under the gun. What tips can you give our viewers on how to best prepare for times when that heat is on, when the spotlight is on?
I love it. So I think there's 2 types of performers. There's those who crumble under pressure or thrive under pressure. And a lot of people will assume that they're one or the other until they're in that environment. So don't worry about the actual execution, like the competition or the event. Don't worry about that. What you should focus on is spending the day, every day, leading up to that final day, whatever it may be, and doing everything in your power to prepare for that. That means eating well, working out, whatever it may be, or studying, or doing, staying on track, focusing and discipline in your work and regimen, but also mental clarity. Imagining what that experience is like. And what I did for a long time was I imagined things going wrong and how I would troubleshoot to make them right and get back on track. But I also imagined everything going right, me being champion of the world, right? But like in the morning, right when I woke up, I would have a couple minutes and imagine, like go through this process, and then at night, I would go through this process. So if something went wrong, I kind of was already mentally prepared for it. I didn't set myself up for failure through my mental clarity, because I was just prepared for all things possible, leading to this final end result. So I don't know if that was very clear.
Yeah, well, the common denominator probably in every other sentence that you said was preparation, prepare, practice.
And then the actual day or the event, whatever it may be, is just another day. Have fun. Don't change a thing. Don't change anything that day.
Yeah, don't get nervous. Got it. Now, one of the fortes that you also have, and I got corrected on how I spelled forte in my preparation of questions, not only by my wife, but by my 11-year-old son.
Oh, I was like, I don't remember correcting you.
No, my wife did. But so did my 11-year-old son, which was great that they knew and I did. One of your fortes is actually being a branding advisor. So what are some ideas because again, we have a lot of realtors who are in sales, we talked about that. What are some ideas you can share on building a great brand?
You can't trump authenticity. Your excitement, even if you're talking about dirt, your excitement is going to shine when you talk about something that you love and you're passionate about. So people, if it's a gimmick, when I say gimmick, I mean like if it's specific, maybe you always wear green because you're the money thing. I don't know. If it's your thing, then own it and be that thing. And I think that a lot of people try and conform their uniqueness or their weirdness into what has been done before because they've seen that work for others, whether it's strange or normal. But just own yourself, own your characteristics that make you you, and then be authentic, and it will show up every day.
I love that. And I'll tell you why I love that. So we had somebody, or I started the camera behind, but you guys kind of cut the tail end of the workout. But normally in a traditional non-workout interview, the person's sitting, I start the camera from behind and I run around. And so many people told me, well, just have somebody start the camera behind. I'm like, no, that's not me. I like the rawness of what these videos are. Like, even if I get close to the camera, it'll actually get out of focus and it'll take a little bit to get back into focus. It's a Facebook thing, it's not the phone thing.
Right.
You're like, get a professional camera. Like, no, this is who I am. It's raw. I'm a real estate broker. That's what I do. This is for fun and for education. Now,
and that's going to be consistent with your brand. That's what people know. And if they sell something super polished now, they'd be like,
nah,
what happened?
I don't want to be polished. I like being rough around the edges.
Me too.
Being a high-level competitor doesn't mean you don't have fears. It just means you were able to overcome your fears. What are some fears that you have, and how did you overcome them?
I'm not really sure. Well, one, I'm terrified of heights. I'm scared of most things, believe it or not. And I get anxiety on planes, which I fly almost I used to fly every week. But for me, my biggest fear in life is not failing. It's actually not living to my full potential.
Interesting.
So because I think about, I never want to think what if. That terrifies me. And I think that a lot of people fear failing. I don't care about failing. I know that that's part of the process. I call them successful failures, which means that every failure is a lesson to be learned.
Sure.
And if you don't learn that lesson, then you're going to do it again, and it's going to be bad, and it will accumulate to get worse until you figure out what you're supposed to be doing. But also, I like failure, the concept of failure, because it tests you on how bad you want what you're doing, and what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to do to actually make it happen? Because here's the first obstacle. There's going to be 20 more obstacles, bigger and harder after that first one, until you get to what your goal is, and it changes. You have to figure out how much more time do you want to put into it. How much is this worth it to you? And I like that test.
What if I did a goal setting class or how to reach your goals for 2019, and that was a big part of it. There's a guy, David Goggins, Navy SEAL turned author now, and he's got a big part about what if. I love what if, and absolutely the failure part. I'm much more afraid of not trying than trying and failing. Now we have a lot of female viewers. And you have definitely broken that glass ceiling of the female stereotype. So what advice can you give our women viewers on becoming a woman power player?
Oh man, I never saw gender as any sort of barrier. They were like, oh, it's never been done before. I'm like, cool, yet. Yeah. I just assumed that everybody else was lying. This is true story. Everybody was like, well, why? Because your family comes and they're like, oh man, that's never been done before. What makes you think you can? And you're like, I'm the difference. Yeah. I'm the exception. I'm focused, I'm ready, I'm willing to fail. I will make whatever it takes to make it happen. So I've never really put any sort of gender pressure or consideration into what I do. I find something that I love and I go with it wholehearted, full force. And it just so happened that some of them have been gender barriers.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily about the gender, it's just going after the goal, whether you're a guy or girl.
Whatever you love, do it. And who cares if it hasn't been done before? Good. Even better. And
usually the times that people are telling you it can't be done is because either they failed themselves or they just never attempted and they're really talking to themselves more than...
Because they haven't tried to live to their full potential.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. Now, aside from in CrossFit and Vogue, you see the sign behind us. This is Christmas's gym. So aside from CrossFit, you have other business ventures. What are they, and what motivated you to start those ventures?
I have life ADD. I love building. I call them projects, not businesses. Sure. Because they were all spawned out of passion. So I have the gym, which I love. We just celebrated 9 years.
Wow.
Thank you. I'm very excited. I have BBX, which is an online workout. Those pike push-ups that you just did are one of our signature.
So we did. I'm gonna get close to the camera, but this was essentially our workout. And it looks so simple on paper or on a board of lunges, pikes, and burpees. And it was, well, you saw me in the beginning of this interview. I was completely gassed.
I like that. I heard when you started doing the pike.
Yeah. It's like we'll show. Maybe we'll demonstrate when we're done. Where do they find the BBX?
You can go to my website, christmasabbott.com, and just click on it. It's all body weight workouts, but you can use weight. So there's 3 different levels. of badass, and now you can either do a membership or you can do one-offs.
Okay.
And it's just, I love it because you can do it anywhere. I do a warm-up, skill work, workout, and cool down for every single day that I program, and there's 3 types of programs. There's 3 types of workouts inside the one program.
And then working out is so important, guys. To your mind, work out, please, whatever you do. So BBX is one.
I can't even like start my day. BBX is one. The books were one. I'm still kind of tinkering with 2 other ones, which is pretty exciting, but not deadlined yet. I'm not focused on that quite.
And so
much.
tell them the name of your books. Let's go.
Badass Body Diet, national bestseller, and Badass Life, and that's all about habits. So the first one's about fitness and nutrition, and the second one's about habits and implementing good behaviors over bad behaviors.
Got it. And Christmas is definitely a badass, guys. Last question, and now is when I finally get my breath back. If you were to recommend, aside from your books, obviously, because we talked about your books, if you were to have a book, a TED Talk, or a podcast recommendation, what would it be?
Oh man, I think I have a lot, but then it's kind of like deer in headlights when I get asked that question. I love listening to Barbell Shrug Collective.
Okay.
I love what they've done. They've taken a lot of different voices under one umbrella now, so I can kind of explore that podcast.
And that's Barbell Shrugged.
Okay. Yes, and it's a collective now. She's a smaller podcast, but her energy is unreal. Okay. It's B, like small B, large E, and that's what it is, B, and it's really, really amazing. Super positive, great perspective, really great takeaways, like tangible takeaways that you can implement into your life instead of just being like, you should think about what you're doing. Yeah. Now, Chris Moore, his collection of writings is just kind of like for my soul.
Okay.
And
who is Chris? I don't know Chris Moore.
Barbell Buddha, and he passed a couple years ago, and he's just a guy that you just love. He was a power lifter, and he was just like this big teddy bear, but so
I can see the emotion in your eyes.
I know, I miss him. But if you look at his books, they're all so heartfelt and just really they make you think.
Oh my God, she's crying. I don't want to make you cry on camera. All right.
I cry all the time now.
It's the hormones. Right? Christmas, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for picking me up at the airport. Thank you for giving me a ride. Thank you for working out with me. Thank you for allowing me to be in your gym as a guest and be a guest on my show.
None of this would have happened had you not reached out.
A bunch of times, right? It was over and over and over.
Thank you for being patient.
And persistent. Mr. Persistent is what my wife likes to call me. One last favor. Sam Balanovich is watching this. Your #1 fan. Say hi to Sam for me.
Hi, Sam. Sorry you couldn't be here. Should have jumped in his bag.
Yeah, you should have. Thank you guys so much for watching Christmas. Any parting words before we go?
I don't know. Just be relentless.
There we go.